Get your hands off the wheel now. Officer Lang's voice snapped through the window before she could even speak. Hands where I could see them. Don't move. Vanessa Jordan froze, both palms open. They're right here. I'm not reaching for anything. Lang leaned down, eyes sharp, tone heavy with irritation. You people never listen. Always think you can talk your way out. I just want to know why I was stopped, she said. For being stupid, he said. License. Registration. Don't make me repeat myself. She moved slowly, voice steady. My license is in my purse. I'm going to open it with my right hand. All right. The younger cop, Pierce, shouted from the other side. She's reaching. Lang's hand went straight to his gun. Don't move. Vanessa froze mid-motion. You told me to get my license. I'm doing exactly that. Step out of the car. Lang barked. Officer. Now. She unbuckled, opened the door, stepped out into the gravel. The sun hit her eyes. Lang motioned with 2 fingers. Turn around. Hands on the car. I haven't done anything wrong. Didn't ask what you did. Hand on the car. She did as told, the metal hot under her palms. Lang started patting her down roughly. You nervous? You look nervous. I'm being careful, she said quietly. Pierce walked to the passenger side, peering in. Nice ride. Guess the judge's salary pays well, huh? Lang snorted. Judge. Pierce lifted the license from her purse. Yeah, Vanessa Jordan. Federal Court, Northern District. Big shot. Lang's grin widened. Judge, huh? Well, ma'am, this ain't no courthouse. Out here, you're just another driver with a bad attitude. She turned her head slightly. You shouldn't be searching my car without consent. Consent? Lang laughed. Lady, this is Brookhaven. We don't need your consent. Pierce dug through her purse, tossing items on the seat. Got some papers here, legal stuff. Look at this handwriting. She thinks she's the law. Stop searching my things, she said, keeping her tone calm. Lang leaned close, his breath hot against her ear. You think that badge makes you untouchable? Out here, nobody cares what your title is. I didn't tell you I'm a judge, she said. He squeezed her arm. Your license did. Maybe next time, don't act like you're special. A pickup truck slowed on the opposite side of the road. A teenage boy leaned out the window with a phone. Lang saw it. Put that damn phone down. The truck rolled off, still filming. Pierce muttered, always one of them recording. Lang yanked the cuffs out and snapped them around her wrists, too tight. Resisting arrest, reckless driving, maybe obstruction. We'll figure it out later. I've done nothing to resist, she said evenly. You're talking back. That's resistance where I come from. Pierce came around to the back, laughed quietly. We'll see if she's still calm in a cell. Lang pulled her toward the patrol car. She stumbled once, the gravel biting into her shoe. Watch your step, Judge, he said mockingly. Don't want to ruin those fancy shoes. They're $40 flats, she said. Sure they are. He pushed her into the back seat and slammed the door. From inside, she watched Pierce still digging through her purse. She leaned forward. You're violating procedure. Pierce ignored her. Jason found a notebook full of names. Looks like case notes. Lang glanced over. We'll hold on to it. You can't, she said. Those are confidential documents. Lang turned, resting his arm on the headrest. Listen, Judge Jordan, you can quote all the law you want. Nobody here cares. Out here, the rules are different. She met his eyes. Then maybe that's the problem. He smiled faintly. You'll have plenty of time to think about that. Pierce got in the front seat, slammed his door. Let's take her in. Chief's gonna love this one. Lang started the engine. Yeah, maybe she can lecture him on civil rights. They drove off. The flashing lights washed the trees red and blue. Vanessa leaned her head against the cold glass divider. Her wrists throbbed, but her voice stayed steady. Am I under arrest? She asked. Lang didn't turn around. You'll find out when we get there. Pierce chuckled. If I were you, I'd start praying. She looked at his reflection in the rearview mirror. I don't need prayer. I need your badge numbers. Pierce rolled his eyes. She's still going. Lang spoke into the radio. Bringing in one female driver, 30-something, claims she works in law. Might be intoxicated, acting mouthy. I'm 51, she said. He ignored her. They passed the welcome to Brookhaven. Population 21,100 sign. Lang tapped the steering wheel with one finger, humming under his breath. Pierce checked his phone. typing something, then said, "You know this is going to blow up once she starts talking about who she is, right?" Lang shrugged. "Let her. By the time anyone listens, we'll have her paperwork looking perfect." Vanessa looked at the back of his head, calm as stone. "You're assuming there won't be cameras." "There won't be anything," he said. "You people always think someone's watching. No one cares about this road." She stayed silent. The quiet filled the car until even the hum of the tires sounded loud. A few minutes later, they turned into the police lot. Lang parked, opened her door, grabbed her arm. "Walk," he said. "I can walk on my own." Didn't ask. He let her inside. The smell of stale coffee and disinfectant hit hard. Officers looked up, then backed down like they'd seen it 100 times. Pierce leaned toward a clerk at the counter. "Got a live one. Said she's a federal judge. Let's see how that plays out." Vanessa said nothing. Her wrists ached, her shoulders tight, but her eyes stayed clear. She looked around the station, every face, every wall. She was memorizing everything. The names on desks, the old thin blue line flag above the bulletin board, the smirk on Lang's face. He took off her cuffs with a click. "You'll sit right here till the chief decides what to do with you." Pierce threw her purse on the table, half open, papers spilling. "Careful with that, Judge. Wouldn't want to lose any of your fancy court secrets." Lang laughed softly. "Welcome to Brookhaven." Vanessa rubbed her wrists, red and marked. "You'll regret this," she said calmly. Lang tilted his head. "Maybe, but not tonight." He walked away. She looked down at her hands, flexed her fingers once, then looked up toward the clock on the wall. 6:42 p.m. She noted it carefully, like evidence. Because that was what this was now. Evidence. The metal door slammed shut behind her. The sound was sharp enough to make both people inside look up. The woman sitting on the bench said, "They get you too?" Vanessa looked around the small gray cell. One bench, one toilet, concrete floor that smelled like bleach and sweat. If get you means dragged off the road for nothing, then yes. The woman nodded. "Yeah, that's what they do." "I'm Tiana." "Vanessa," she said. The young man pacing in the corner stopped. "You the one they just brought in from the highway?" "Apparently," she said. "What about you?" "Name's Malik. I was standing outside the store waiting for my ride. Cops said I was loitering. Now I'm here." Tiana laughed once, short and bitter. "They do that. You breathe wrong around here. They'll say it's suspicious." Vanessa sat down across from her. "How long have you been here?" 3 hours, maybe 4. They said the computer's down. That's what they always say when they want to keep you longer. Malik added, "They said the same to me. I called my mom. She showed up. They told her I wasn't here. She's probably still sitting outside. Did they tell you what you're charged with?" Vanessa asked. "Shoplifting," Tiana said, rolling her eyes. "Bought a bottle of perfume. Had the receipt in my hand. The owner called them anyway. Cops didn't even look. Just cuffed me and shoved me in the car." Vanessa nodded slowly. "Officer Lang?" "Yeah," Tiana said. "How'd you know?" "I met him," she said. Malik stopped pacing. "Same guy for me, too. Big white dude, ball out." He said, "You people love to hang around corners." Then he pushed me against my car. Tiana leaned forward, elbows on knees. "He's got a partner. The one with the stupid smirk." "Pierce." Vanessa nodded. "That's the one who went through my purse." They all fell quiet for a moment, listening to the sound from the hall. Keys jangling, a phone ringing, someone laughing far away. Tiana said, "You from around here?" "No," Vanessa said. "Cleveland." "Then you don't want to be here long. This town don't like outsiders, especially not us." "I noticed." Malik crossed his arms. "They'll probably let you go. You look like you got money." Vanessa looked at him. "It's not about money." He shrugged. "Everything's about money here." The door opened. A heavy man in his 50s with a gray mustache and a badge that said Chief Henson stepped in. Everybody up. No one moved. He looked straight at Vanessa. "You the highway case?" "Yes." "You gave my officers a hard time." I asked why I was stopped. "That's a hard time. I wasn't speeding." He smiled without humor. "They said you were." "So you were." Vanessa's voice stayed calm. "I like to make a phone call." Henson's tone went flat. "Phone calls are a privilege, not a right." "That's not true," she said. "And you know it." His eyes narrowed. "Listen, lady, you might be used to people kissing your ass in Cleveland, but this is Brookhaven. You do what I say until I say you can stop." Malik whispered, "Don't talk to him, ma'am. He'll make it worse." Vanessa ignored that. "What's the charge?" Henson smirked. "Speeding. Resisting arrest. Reckless driving. Probably obstruction, too. Depends how my report reads." "That's fabricated." He stepped closer. "You calling me a liar?" "I'm saying your officers are lying." He stared at her a long moment, then said, "Enjoy your stay," and left. When the door shut again, Tiana muttered, "That man's been here forever. Thinks he runs the state." Malik sat down for the first time, head in his hands. "They're never going to let me out. They already told my boss I'm in jail. I'm going to lose my job." Vanessa turned to him. "Where do you work?" "Warehouse by Route 5. Been there since I was 16. My boss hates cops, but they don't care. Once your name's in their system, you're done." Vanessa looked at the small barred window, light barely coming through. "Has anyone ever filed complaints against them?" Tiana laughed without humor. "Yeah, a few people did. Guess what happened? Nothing. Judge threw every case out. Same judge every time. Beckett." Vanessa looked at her. "Judge Randall Beckett?" "Yeah, you know him." "Not personally," she said, "but I've read his rulings." Malik leaned forward. "You really a judge?" "They said that out there." She hesitated a moment, then nodded once. "Federal court." Tiana blinked. "Then what the hell are you doing here?" "Apparently, learning how this place really works." Malik laughed once, the sound half disbelief. "They picked the wrong person." Vanessa's tone stayed even. "Maybe the right one." Tiana shook her head. "You should tell them who you are. They'll let you go." "I'm not ready to do that yet." "Why not?" "Because I want to see how far they'll go when they think I'm nobody." Malik said quietly, "Farther than you think." They sat in silence for a long minute. The noise outside grew louder, doors slamming, someone shouting paperwork from down the hall. Vanessa stood and walked to the bars. She could see part of the front desk. Two officers leaned against the counter, laughing. One of them was Pierce. She called out, "Officer Pierce." He looked over, saw her, smirked. Well, the lady judge speaks. I need to call my attorney." "Not your decision," he said. "It's federal law." "Not in this room, it ain't." Tiana muttered, "Told you." Pierce turned to another officer. "Give me a coffee. The good kind." He winked toward Vanessa. "She's used to fancy things." Vanessa said evenly, "Your partner called me you people. That's on record." There was a witness with a phone. Pierce's grin faded a little. "You think anyone cares about some kid's video?" "They will." He stared at her, silent for a moment, then walked off. Tiana said, "You're brave." "No," Vanessa said. "I'm tired." A young officer came in a few minutes later, slimmer, younger, Hispanic. The name on his badge read Morales. He looked nervous. "Ma'am, can I get your full name again?" "Vanessa Jordan." He checked the folder in his hand, frowned. "Jordan? Judge Vanessa Jordan." "Yes." He froze, blinked twice, and then turned pale. "I'll be right back." He hurried out, the door clanging shut behind him. Malik whispered, "What was that about?" Vanessa looked at the door. "I think the room just found out who I am." Tiana stood up, stretching. "You gonna tell him now?" "I don't have to," she said. He just did. A few minutes later, footsteps came fast down the hall. Voices overlapped, tense, hurried. The lock turned, and Chief Henson appeared again, sweat on his forehead, trying to smile. "Judge Jordan," he said too loudly. "This is a misunderstanding." Vanessa stayed seated. "Is it?" "Absolutely. My men had no idea who you were." "They shouldn't have to know." Right, he said quickly. "We just want to make sure you're comfortable." Pierce appeared behind him, pale, eyes darting. Lang followed, silent, jaw tight. Henson forced a laugh. "If you just told us who you were, none of this would have happened." Vanessa looked up slowly. "That's exactly the problem, Chief. It shouldn't matter who I am." The room went dead quiet. Henson cleared his throat. "We'll, get you things. You'll be released shortly." She didn't move. "I'll wait." They backed out. The door shut. Tiana exhaled. "Holy shit. That was expected," Vanessa said. Malik shook his head. "You really gonna let them walk after that?" "No," she said. "I'm just giving them enough rope." Chief Henson came back 10 minutes later, trying to smile like nothing had happened. "Judge Jordan, we got that all cleared up. Total misunderstanding. You're free to go." Vanessa didn't stand. "I'm not leaving without my things." Of course, of course. He motioned to Lang. Bring her property. Lang came in holding the purse and folder. His face was red, jaw tight. Everything's here, he muttered. Is it? Vanessa asked. Because when you arrested me, my notebook was open on the seat. I like to make sure all my pages are still in it. Lang avoided eye contact. Yeah, it's fine. She opened it. Several pages were missing. She looked up at him. You tore out notes from a federal case. Pierce spoke from behind him. Must have fallen out. Inside a locked car, she said. Unlikely. Henson cut in, voice too cheerful. Judge, nobody wants trouble here. We'll handle any missing property later. For now, let's just get you home. Vanessa closed the notebook carefully. I left my car keys. They're at the front desk, Henson said quickly. Officer Morales will escort you. We'll have someone bring your car from the impound. You towed it. Standard procedure, Lang said. Vehicle of interest. Vanessa didn't reply. She turned to Tiana and Malik still sitting behind the bars. They still being held? Henson blinked. Excuse me. The two people you arrested before me. They've been here for hours without charge. He hesitated. We'll process them shortly. You mean when the system's done crashing again? She asked. No one answered. She looked at Morales, who had reappeared, still looking shaken. Officer Morales, are you handling the paperwork? Yes, ma'am. Good. Make sure you document the time I was booked, the condition of my belongings, and the fact that no formal charge was read to me. He nodded, eyes flicking nervously toward Henson. Yes, Judge. Henson's jaw tightened. Morales, step outside. When Morales left, Henson dropped the fake politeness. Let's be honest, Judge. You could ruin a lot of lives if you start talking about this. I don't have to talk, she said calmly. I write. He sighed. You've had a long day. Let's not make this worse. I think it's already worse, she said. And you did that yourself. The door opened behind them. A new voice entered, smooth and practiced. Chief, what's the situation? Everyone turned. A tall man in a dark suit stepped in. Silver hair, judge's pin on his lapel. Henson straightened immediately. Judge Beckett, sir. Beckett extended a hand toward Vanessa. Judge Jordan. I came as soon as I heard. Terrible mix-up. She didn't take his hand. I see. I know how these small departments can be, he said, smiling. Limited training, limited resources. No harm intended. Lang muttered, None at all, sir. Beckett looked at him sharply. Not another word. He turned back to Vanessa. You must understand, we take great pride in our community. Things can look bad out of context. She said, Context is exactly what matters. Of course, he replied smoothly. Now, why don't we sit down and sort this out privately? My office is across the street. I'll stand, she said, and I don't do private discussions in ongoing matters. He tilted his head. This isn't a matter, Judge. It's a misunderstanding between colleagues. We're not colleagues right now, she said. I'm a citizen who is unlawfully detained. Beckett's smile stayed fixed. Words like unlawful can escalate things unnecessarily. Only for those who did something wrong. The silence that followed was heavy. Henson shifted. Lang looked down. Pierce rubbed the back of his neck. Beckett exhaled softly. You're not recording this conversation, are you? No, she said, but I remember everything. He smiled again, weaker this time. Good memory can be dangerous in politics. I'm not in politics, she said. I'm in law. Beckett stepped closer, lowering his voice. Then you understand that mistakes happen. Let's not make a spectacle. Tell me what you want. I want every file on Officer Lang and Pierce reviewed. I want every complaint in this station reopened. And I want those two people in the cell processed legally before the hour ends. That's a tall order, Beckett said. You're not in your district. Doesn't matter, she said. The Constitution applies everywhere. Beckett gave a small laugh. You sound like a law school brochure. I sound like a judge who's tired of watching people like you turn law in a theater. His eyes went cold. Careful, Vanessa. We both know how easily careers collapse when tempers take over. Mine's built on facts, she said. Yours seems built on fear. Beckett stared at her for a long time. Then he turned to Henson. Release her immediately. And clean this up. Yes, sir, Henson said quickly. Beckett started for the door, then paused. Oh, and Judge Jordan, Brookhaven's a quiet town. People here prefer things stay that way. She met his eyes. That's about to change. He left without another word. Henson rubbed the back of his neck. You happy now? Not yet, she said. But getting there. She turned back to the cell. Tiana, Malik, you'll both be processed within the hour. If they try anything, ask for Officer Morales. He'll handle it. Tiana stared at her. You really are a judge, huh? Yes, Malik said quietly. They're scared of you. They should be scared of justice, she said. Not me. Henson snapped. Enough speeches. Morales. The young officer reappeared, hesitant. Yes, Chief. Escort the judge to her car. She walked with Morales down the hallway, passing officers pretending not to look. One muttered under his breath, Guess we messed with the wrong lady. Vanessa stopped, turned her head. No, you messed with the wrong system. Nobody replied. At the front desk, Morales handed her the keys. They towed your car. We'll have it brought around. Thank you, she said. And Morales, what you did in there took guts. He looked uneasy. I just checked a name. Most people wouldn't have, she said. If you ever need to talk off the record, I'll listen. He nodded slowly. I might take you up on that. Outside, the evening air hit cooler. The parking lot smelled of gasoline and rain. Lang and Pierce stood by the curb smoking. Pierce said under his breath, didn't look so tough in cuffs. Vanessa stopped walking. You should go home, Officer Pierce. Read your oath again. You've clearly forgotten what it means. He looked like he wanted to say something, but Lang pulled his sleeve. Leave it. She walked to the car the department had parked for her. The tires were wet from the wash, her folder back on the passenger seat, edges bent. Morales opened the door. Sorry about all this, Judge. Don't be, she said. Just remember it. As she started the engine, she saw Henson through the glass doors watching her go, phone pressed to his ear, jaw tight. She knew he was already calling Beckett. She drove out of the lot without looking back. Calvin opened the door before she could knock twice. Jesus, Vanessa. I just saw the news. Already? She asked. He waved his phone. Local paper ran a piece. Federal judge detained after erratic driving. They're calling it a misunderstanding. Of course they are. She stepped inside, dropped her purse on the table. Same script every time. Calvin closed the door, shaking his head. You okay? I'm fine, she said. Just angry. And tired. He looked at her wrists, the faint red marks still there. They did that. Yes. Calvin's tone hardened. You want me to call someone? No, not yet. I want to see what you've been collecting. He hesitated. You sure? Once you open this box, there's no going back. I crossed that line yesterday. He nodded, went to the back room, came out carrying a cardboard box full of folders. Everything's in here. 3 years of records, complaints, photos, and maps. Vanessa sat at the kitchen table. Start from the top. Calvin opened a binder. You know that program they keep talking about? Brookhaven Renewal Initiative? Supposed to revitalize East Maple, bring in business? Yes, I've read their proposals. It's a front. Keller Industries funds the construction, Beckett signs the zoning changes, and Chief Henson handles the cleanup. Meaning arrests, evictions, code violations. Anything to get people out. Vanessa flipped through a file, lists of arrests, all the same pattern. Mostly black residents. Yeah, they claim it's random enforcement, but look at the numbers. He slid over a spreadsheet. 87% of citations and arrests over the past 2 years were from the same 3 blocks. She read the names. Lang, Pierce, Torres. Same officers every time. Calvin nodded. Pierce just made sergeant. Promoted last month. Rewarded for harassment, she said quietly. He pulled another folder. This one's worse. Court records. Beckett dismissed every civil rights claim filed against the department since 2018. 17 cases. Most of them had video evidence. Vanessa's jaw tightened. How's he explaining that? He doesn't. Half the rulings were one-line orders. Motion denied. No hearings. No transcripts. She leaned back. He's covering Henson's department. And Keller's money keeps it running, Calvin said. They're buying the land cheap after the city declares it blighted. They evict, tear down, rebuild, flip it for 5 times the price. Vanessa closed the folder slowly. You've been sitting on this how long? Too long, he said. Every time I got close, someone backed off. One guy from the zoning office lost his job 2 days after talking to me. She looked at him. You still have his statement? In here. Calvin opened another envelope, handed her a typed page. He said Keller sent checks through a fake consulting firm called Mason & Hill. Half went to the police foundation, half to Beckett's campaign fund. Vanessa read it twice. Do you have proof? Not direct proof. But Morales told me something last year. Her eyes lifted. Evan Morales? The officer? Yeah. He came to the community center after a youth event. Said he was tired of seeing the same families lose everything. He mentioned an internal quota system. Henson wanted 25 stops a month minimum. More if the drivers were black or Hispanic. Do you believe him? Yeah. Kid scared but decent. Vanessa thought for a moment. He found out who I was at the station. That's probably why they panicked. Calvin leaned forward. You could go public right now. Call the U.S. attorney. File a formal complaint. They'd have to investigate. I will, she said. But I need to see how deep this goes first. If I go too soon, they'll close ranks. Calvin frowned. You're not invincible, Vanessa. These people play dirty. So do I. When I have to. She picked up another file. Who's Graham Keller, really? Developer from Cincinnati. Owns construction, property management, and a few security firms. Big donor. He's been feeding money into Beckett's Judicial Foundation for years. Connections? Plenty. Photos with the governor, city council, even federal reps. On paper, he looks clean. Off paper, Calvin slid her a USB drive. Watch what's on here. Surveillance from East Maple. Keller's trucks moving materials at 2 a.m. No permits. The cops guard them. She pocketed it. This is enough to start. Start what? An investigation. He exhaled. You planning to go through the official channels? No. I'm planning to build my own record first. Once I file, it needs to be airtight. He stared at her. You're talking like a prosecutor. Sometimes justice requires one, she said. Calvin rubbed his forehead. You're gonna make enemies. Already did. He pulled out another envelope. Then here's more fuel. This is a complaint from a retired teacher. Said she got arrested for trespassing on her own property 2 weeks before her house was sold to a Keller subsidiary. Vanessa skimmed the paper. Name? Shirley Matthews. Lives in a motel now. She still have the deed? Yeah. Says it's in a safety box downtown. I want it, she said. He frowned. You're serious. Completely. Calvin leaned back. You're gonna end up in the middle of something ugly. It already is ugly, she said. I'm just done pretending it's not. The clock on the wall ticked. Outside, a car passed slowly, headlights cutting across the blinds. Calvin said quietly, You know what Beckett's gonna do if you dig too deep? Try to scare me, she said. He already tried. He can do more than that. So can I. He studied her a long time, then said, You sound just like Dad. She almost smiled. He taught us to finish what we start. Yeah, Calvin said. But he didn't have half the enemies you do. Vanessa stood, gathering the folders. I'll need copies of everything. Digital and print. Keep the originals locked up. He nodded. I'll start scanning tonight. She paused by the door. One more thing. You still have that old police radio scanner. In the garage. Set it up. If they move on anyone in East Maple, I want to know. He sighed. You're really doing this? Yes. You're not scared? I'm furious, she said. That's better. Calvin followed her to the porch. You sure you don't want me to come with you? No. If they see you near me, they'll know I've got backup. I need them relaxed. He nodded reluctantly. Call me if anything feels off. I will. She stepped off the porch, folder in hand. As she reached her car, he called after her. What are you going to do first? She opened the door, turned back. Remind them what accountability feels like. Then she drove into the dark street, the folder on the passenger seat glowing faintly under the dashboard light. The next morning started with noise. A loud knock, 3 times, sharp and deliberate. Vanessa opened the door halfway. 2 men in plain suits stood outside. One flashed a badge. Federal Marshal's Office. Judge Jordan? That's right. I'm Marshal Darius Lee. This is Agent Tran. We're following up on your report about Brookhaven PD. I haven't filed a report yet. Lee nodded. Then someone filed one for you. She stepped aside. Come in. They entered quietly, scanning the small living room like they'd done this 1,000 times. Tran placed a folder on the table. Your name came through official channels last night. State office received a packet from an anonymous source containing arrest footage, officer reports, and an internal memo from Chief Ensign. You're listed as the complainant. Vanessa frowned. Anonymous? Lee opened the folder. Someone used your federal ID credentials. It looks official, but the signature's not yours. That's a setup. We thought so too, he said. That's why we're here before the press calls. Tran added, local outlets already got wind. Beckett's office gave them a statement saying you're politicizing a personal dispute. He's framing it as you abusing your position. Vanessa exhaled slowly. They're fast. They've done this before, Lee said. Same playbook. Discredit first, investigate later. She sat at the table, scanning the pages. Can I keep a copy? Take all of it, Tran said. We already logged it as evidence. Any idea where the leak came from? Could be from inside your court, Lee said. Could also be the department. Someone has access to your digital signature. Vanessa looked up. Then it's someone with clearance. Exactly. She tapped the folder once. That means this just got bigger. Lee studied her for a moment. You plan to fight this quietly or publicly? I plan to do both. He nodded. Then we'll keep you updated. Don't go anywhere alone until we clear your security. Tran looked toward the window. And Judge, watch your back. These people don't like losing. After they left, Vanessa called Calvin. It started. What happened? They filed a fake report under my name. Federal credentials, forged perfectly. He cursed under his breath. They're trying to burn you before you can move. I know. I'll need everything digitized by tonight. I'm on it, he said. And Vanessa, there's something else. The community center just got hit with 5 new violations this morning. They're shutting it down. Her voice hardened. Patricia, she's fine. Furious, but fine. I'm heading there now. By the time she reached the center, half the parking lot was blocked off with orange tape. 2 code officers were stapling a red, unsafe for occupancy, notice to the door. Patricia stood outside arguing with them. Vanessa walked straight up. What's going on here? One officer turned. Building failed inspection. Which inspection? She asked. The one you made up 5 minutes ago. He hesitated. We received a report. From whom? He glanced at his partner. City planning. Patricia snapped. That's impossible. We passed inspection in June. Vanessa pulled out her phone, recording. Name and badge numbers, please. The man stiffened. You can get that from City Hall. I'm asking now. His tone rose. Ma'am, you're obstructing an official inspection. She didn't move. No, I'm documenting one. They exchanged looks, then walked off without another word. Patricia watched them leave. They didn't even check the building. That was the point, Vanessa said. They just needed a photo for their file. Patricia rubbed her forehead. They're hitting every angle. Media, code enforcement, police. It's coordinated. They're panicking, Vanessa said. That means we're close. Patricia looked at her. How close are you planning to get before someone does something worse? Until it's over. Her sister sighed. You don't back down, do you? Not when they expect me to. They went inside the building. Tables were overturned, papers scattered. Patricia's laptop was gone. Vanessa looked around slowly. They were here before us. Patricia opened a back office door. All my files are missing. Every witness statement, every complaint. Do you have backups? On a hard drive at home. Good. Bring it to me tonight. Patricia leaned against the wall. They'll come after you harder now. Vanessa said quietly. They already are. At noon, her phone buzzed with a number she didn't recognize. This is Judge Jordan. Judge, this is Mark Levin from the Tribune. We've received documents claiming you're under investigation for falsifying reports related to Brookhaven PD. Do you have a comment? Send me what you received. I can't disclose sources. Then here's my comment, she said flatly. Ask Judge Beckett how many times his name appears in those documents before you print a word. He hesitated. So you're denying it? I'm telling you to look closer. She ended the call. By evening, Calvin arrived with 2 drives and a folder of printed copies. Everything scanned. Files, emails, property maps, arrest records. And you were right. The Keller transactions go straight to the police foundation. Vanessa spread the papers on the table. Show me. He pointed. These 3 payments match the dates when eviction orders were approved. Look at the sign-off signatures. Beckett every time. She marked them with a pen. We need proof that Keller's company is directly tied to those bank accounts. Calvin pulled a note from his pocket. There's someone who might help. A clerk at the county recorder's office. She handled some of the title transfers. Name's Nia Watkins. She's scared, but she's been talking off the record. Give me a meeting, Vanessa said. Tomorrow. Calvin hesitated. You think you can trust her? I don't trust anyone, but I'll listen. He nodded. There's one more thing. I checked your car this afternoon. Someone messed with the tires. Cuts along the inside wall. You wouldn't see it unless you looked. Vanessa looked up from the papers. That's subtle. Too neat to be random. She sat back. Then they're not guessing anymore. They know exactly what I'm doing. Calvin said, you could walk away from this. Hand everything to the marshals. Let them handle it. If I walk away now, she said, Beckett controls the narrative. By the time they investigate, evidence will disappear, witnesses will vanish, and Brookhaven will look like a model town again. He ran a hand over his face. So what's the next step? We go public before they're ready, she said. But on my terms. How? By showing them I still have leverage. She reached for her phone. I'm calling someone inside the state attorney's office. The one person Beckett can't influence. You think that's enough? It's a start. Calvin leaned against the counter. If this backfires. It won't, she said, because I'm not the one lying. At midnight, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. She answered. A man's voice said quietly, Judge Jordan, you don't know me, but I work inside the station. They're planning something tomorrow. Don't go anywhere near East Maple. Who is this? Just someone who doesn't want to see anyone else get hurt. They're cleaning files. Physical and digital. If you want proof, you'll need to move fast. Then the line went dead. Vanessa stared at the dark screen, the room silent except for the ticking clock. She whispered, then we move now. Calvin was half asleep on the couch when Vanessa shook his shoulder. Get up. We're leaving. He blinked. What time is it? Almost 1. Someone from the station just called me. They're wiping files tonight. He sat up fast. You sure? I'm sure enough to move. He grabbed his jacket. You think they'll be stupid enough to do it inside the building? They're arrogant enough to think no one's watching. They drove in silence through the empty streets, streetlights flashing across the windshield. Brookhaven's downtown was quiet, the kind of stillness that feels wrong. When they turned onto Lincoln Avenue, Vanessa killed the headlights and parked behind a row of delivery trucks. From the car, they could see the station's side entrance lit in pale yellow. A man in uniform was smoking outside, pacing. 2 others carried boxes to the back of an unmarked van. Calvin whispered, That's Lang. And the other one's Pierce, Vanessa said. Looks like they're not clocked in. What do you want to do? Record first, she said, pulling out her phone. Then we follow. They waited until the boxes were loaded. The van pulled away without headlights, heading toward the industrial district. Vanessa started the engine. Calvin muttered, You're following them into their turf. Exactly, she said. That's where they'll get careless. The van stopped 15 minutes later at an old storage warehouse near the railroad tracks. No sign, just faded paint and a rusted fence. 2 men unlocked the door and carried the boxes inside. Calvin parked a block away. You think it's evidence? It's everything they don't want the DOJ to see. She got out of the car, quietly, camera still rolling, and moved along the fence until she found a gap wide enough to squeeze through. Calvin followed. Inside the yard, the air smelled of gasoline and dust. Through a cracked window, they saw a small group of men stacking boxes near a metal barrel. Flames flickered inside it. Calvin whispered, They're burning the files. Vanessa steadied her phone. Keep filming. Lang's voice echoed faintly. Get rid of all of it. Henson said, Nothing stays. Pierce dropped another box in the fire. What about the digital stuff? Already wiped, Lang said. IT guy got paid extra to format the drives. Good, Pierce said. Last thing we need is that judge finding something she can twist. Vanessa's expression didn't change, but her grip tightened. That'll do, she whispered. We have them on tape. Calvin said quietly, What now? Now we make sure they don't walk away. She dialed a number. Marshall Lee. It's Judge Jordan. You want to send a team to the old storage yard on Miller Street. They're destroying evidence connected to Brookhaven PD. Lee's voice sharpened. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Stay back. I'll stay close enough to confirm. Judge, don't engage. I'm not planning to, she said, and hung up. A few minutes later, Lang's phone rang inside. He stepped away from the fire, speaking low. Pierce looked nervous. Who was that? Chief. He said Beckett's panicking. The feds might already be onto us. Then we finished fast. They started dumping the rest of the boxes. Calvin whispered, they're not stopping. They will, Vanessa said. In the distance, faint sirens began to rise, slow at first, then closer. The men inside froze. Lang looked toward the window. You hear that? Pierce grabbed a flashlight. Probably just passing through. The sirens grew louder. Then blue light washed across the walls. Lang cursed. Shit. Go. He bolted for the back door. But before he reached it, the main entrance burst open. Federal marshals. Hands where we can see them. The officers froze under the light. One tried to run, but slipped on the concrete. Within seconds, they were surrounded. Vanessa stepped from behind the fence, phone still recording. Marshal Lee saw her immediately. Judge, stay behind the line. I'm fine, she said. You got them on camera? Every angle, he replied. Nice work. Lang shouted from the ground. You don't know what you're doing. Those files were duplicates. Lee didn't look at him. We'll let the forensics team decide that. Calvin joined Vanessa at the fence. That's 2 down. You think Beckett knows yet? He'll know within the hour, she said. And he'll make his next move fast. 2 hours later, back at her house, Vanessa was reviewing the footage on her laptop. The video was clear. Lang and Pierce burning boxes, talking about Henson and Beckett. She copied it to 3 drives and handed one to Calvin. Keep that separate. He nodded. You think this is enough? It's enough to scare them, but not enough to end them. What else do you need? Bank records, property transfers, internal memos. Keller's connection still isn't proven on paper. Calvin leaned forward. Then we hit the county recorder's office tomorrow. You said you had a contact. Nia Watkins, Vanessa said, if she's still willing to talk. By morning, the story broke online. Local officers caught destroying evidence during overnight raid. The article included a still frame from Vanessa's video, 2 silhouettes by the fire. The caption read, sources confirm investigation linked to Judge Jordan's unlawful arrest. Her phone started buzzing nonstop. Messages from reporters, federal colleagues, even a voicemail from the circuit chief asking for a clarification. She ignored them all and drove to the courthouse. Inside the county recorder's office, a woman in her 30s stood near the copy machine, glancing nervously around. When she saw Vanessa, she whispered, you shouldn't be here. They've been watching everyone who talks to you. Then talk quietly, Vanessa said. I need the transfer files for the Keller properties. All of them. Nia looked over her shoulder. That's dangerous. So is losing your job for doing nothing. The clerk hesitated, then unlocked a drawer and pulled out a folder. I made copies last week. They've been deleting the originals. Vanessa opened the file, notarized deeds, sale prices, signatures. The buyers weren't listed as Keller Industries, but as MNH Investments. Mason and Hill, she said. The shell company. Nia nodded. Look at the witnesses' names. Vanessa scanned the page. Each document was witnessed by the same 2 people. R. Beckett and J. Henson. Her pulse quickened. That's what I needed. You didn't get it from me, Nia said, voice shaking. You're right, Vanessa replied. I found on public record. Nia gave a small, nervous laugh. If they ask, I'll deny everything. Then you'll be safe, Vanessa said. Thank you. Outside, Calvin waited by the car. You got it. She handed him the folder. Direct signatures tying Beckett and Henson to Keller's shell company. He exhaled. Then it's over. Not yet, she said. Now it's about exposure. He frowned. You mean going public? I mean giving the Department of Justice a story too big to bury. Calvin started the engine. Then let's make it loud. That night, Vanessa sat alone at her desk, typing a formal summary. Subject, coordinated corruption between local judiciary, law enforcement, and private developer. Attachments, audio, video, property records, complaint logs. When she finished, she attached every file and hit send to the Civil Rights Division. Then she closed the laptop and said quietly, now it's their turn to panic. The email went out at 2:17 a.m. By sunrise, the system was already shaking. When Vanessa walked into her office that morning, two marshals were waiting by the door. One of them said, "Judge Jordan, the department wants you in Detroit by 9. Civil Rights Division called an emergency session." She grabbed her case file and coat. "Then let's move." They drove in silence through gray morning light. Her phone buzzed constantly. Missed calls from the circuit chief, local news outlets, and 3 block numbers she ignored. When they arrived at the federal building, Agent Tran was already in the lobby. He led her upstairs. "The footage you sent hit the DOJ servers at 3. They verified the metadata by 4. It's clean, and now the state AG's office is involved." "Good," she said. "Let them see what Brookhaven's been hiding." They entered a conference room where 6 people were seated. 3 DOJ officials, 2 state investigators, and Marshal Lee. Files and screens covered the table. Lee gestured to the monitors. "Everything you provided matches what we recovered from last night's raid. The documents you found with Neo Watkins filled the last gap." One official, a woman in a Navy suit, said, "Judge Jordan, we confirmed the payment from Mason and Hill to Keller Industries, and from there to Beckett's campaign accounts. The amounts align perfectly with each property seizure." Another official added, "We also traced a secondary account under Chief Henson's wife's name. Transfers match the same timeline." Vanessa nodded. "That's the full circle." Lee leaned forward. "There's more." Pierce and Lang flipped within an hour of interrogation. They both signed statements confirming Beckett and Henson ordered document destruction. Vanessa's tone stayed even. "Then we move on Keller." Tran said quietly, "We already did. He was arrested this morning at his downtown office. He tried to call Beckett, but Beckett's line was tapped." The DOJ official looked up. "Beckett's currently in chambers, pretending nothing happened. We're drafting the warrant now." Vanessa watched the screen displaying Keller's mugshot. "How's the town reacting?" "Half the department's in chaos," Lee said. "Morales is holding it together. He's been cooperating fully." "Protect him," she said. "He's the only reason we got this far." The woman in Navy said, "Judge, you understand what this means. This case will be national news within hours. Once it's out, there's no turning back." "I understand," Vanessa said. "That's exactly the point." By noon, the story exploded online. Federal judge exposes corruption network in small Michigan town. Television vans lined the courthouse steps. Reporters shouted questions as she left the building. "Judge Jordan, did you personally conduct the investigation? Are you accusing another sitting judge of corruption? Did you falsify any records as claimed by Judge Beckett's office?" Vanessa kept walking. "All questions will be answered in the DOJ briefing." One reporter pushed forward. "Judge, did you know your own court is under review now?" She stopped. "If accountability reaches me too, that's how it should be." Cameras flashed as she walked to the car. Back in Brookhaven, Patricia watched the news on a small TV inside the community center. Calvin stood beside her. "They did it," he said quietly. "They finally made it public." Patricia smiled faintly. "You think she's safe now?" Calvin shrugged. "Depends how desperate Beckett gets." Patricia's phone buzzed. A text from Vanessa. "Stay inside today. Keep everyone together." She showed it to Calvin. "You heard her." By late afternoon, Vanessa was back in Detroit for the DOJ press briefing. The room was packed. Cameras, microphones, a wall of faces waiting for blood. Deputy Attorney General Lawson stood at the podium. Today, the Department of Justice announces a federal indictment against multiple officials of Brookhaven County, including Police Chief Raymond Henson, County Judge Randall Beckett, and property developer Graham Keller. He paused as the flashbulbs exploded. The charges include conspiracy to violate civil rights, obstruction of justice, racketeering, and financial fraud. Evidence obtained by Judge Vanessa Jordan's documentation and cooperation with federal investigators has been instrumental in this operation. A reporter shouted, "Will Judge Jordan face internal review for her involvement?" Lawson replied calmly, "All actions taken by Judge Jordan have been reviewed and found consistent with her oath and jurisdictional authority. Without her intervention, this network would still be operating unchecked." Another reporter called out, "Is Judge Beckett in custody?" Lawson looked directly at the cameras. As of 30 minutes ago, yes. Vanessa stood behind the podium line, silent, watching the crowd shift from skepticism to shock. That evening, she returned to Brookhaven for the first time since the arrests. The police station was cordoned off with yellow tape. Morales was outside, helping agents box evidence. He saw her and straightened immediately. "Judge Jordan, you're running the place now?" "Temporarily," he said. "They asked me to keep things steady until interim leadership arrives." "You did the right thing, Morales. Remember that when people try to rewrite what happened." He nodded. "It's been chaos. The town split between disbelief and relief." "They'll recover," she said. "Truth hurts before it heals." He handed her a sealed envelope. "They found this in Beckett's desk. It's addressed to you." She opened it. A single sheet. "You can't win against a system built to survive you." She folded it back into the envelope. "He's already lost," Morales said. "If you need security, I can assign." "I'll be fine," she said. "Focus on cleaning the department." That's where the real change starts. At home that night, Calvin and Patricia waited with coffee and papers scattered across the table. The TV behind them replayed the news loop. Beckett in handcuffs, Keller led out of a limousine, and Henson's mugshot. Patricia looked at her sister. "You finally got them." Vanessa took off her coat. "I didn't get them. The law did. I just stopped it from sleeping." Calvin leaned back. "You realize they'll turn this into a movie, right?" She managed a small smile. "Then make sure they get the ending right." Patricia asked, "What happens next?" "The town will go through audits. New elections. DOJ oversight. And people like Morales will have to rebuild from scratch." Patricia nodded slowly. "And you?" Vanessa sat down, rubbing her eyes. "I still have to testify before the committee next week. After that, maybe a quiet month for once." Calvin chuckled. "You don't do quiet. Maybe I'll learn." The next morning, Brookhaven woke to something it hadn't seen in years. Open streets, no roadblocks, no fear of traffic stops. The unsafe for occupancy notice was gone from the community center door. Children played outside again. Vanessa watched from her car as Patricia led a group of volunteers repainting the front wall. Morales was talking to new recruits near a patrol car with the words Community Policing Division freshly printed on its side. Calvin stood beside her. "Looks different already." "It's supposed to," she said. "That's what justice is supposed to look like. Visible." He looked at her. "You gonna stay in town?" "Long enough to make sure they don't repeat history." She stepped out, walked toward the building, and paused under the sunlight. For the first time in weeks, she didn't feel watched. Patricia saw her coming and grinned. "You're early." Vanessa smiled back. "Couldn't sleep." Patricia handed her a brush. "Then make yourself useful." She dipped it in paint, started rolling across the wall beside her sister, the white covering the old gray. For a moment, no one spoke. The noise of children, laughter, and distant hammers filled the air. Ordinary sounds, finally safe. Calvin called out from behind them. "Hey, Judge, what should we call this phase?" She turned slightly. "Call it a beginning." 3 months later, the courtroom felt different. The same walls, same wood panels, but cleaner somehow. The flags were new, the air quieter. Vanessa sat at the bench, not as a defendant or investigator, but as a judge again. The clerk entered with a small stack of documents. "Morning, Judge Jordan. First hearing starts at 9. Any updates from the Oversight Committee?" she asked. "They wrapped up yesterday. All findings in your favor. The statement says you acted within judicial responsibility." Vanessa nodded. "Good. Thank you." As the clerk left, she glanced toward the gallery. Patricia sat in the back row, arms crossed, watching. Calvin was beside her, flipping through a notebook. It had become their routine, never missing a session since the case broke wide open. When the hearing began, the prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, this is the final motion regarding the Brookhaven corruption cases. The state requests that all properties seized under fraudulent conditions be returned to their rightful owners." Vanessa reviewed the folder in front of her. "Documentation verified?" "Yes, Your Honor. Signed by the Civil Rights Division and the State Property Bureau." "Then the motion is granted." The gavel hit once. Simple, final. The people in the gallery clapped quietly before the bailiff motioned them to stop. Outside the courthouse, a small crowd of Oak Street residents waited. Some held photos of homes they'd lost. Others carried handwritten signs that said justice served. When Vanessa stepped out, a woman in her 60s came forward. "Judge Jordan, you gave me my house back." Vanessa shook her hand. "No, ma'am. You never should have lost it." Patricia smiled from the steps. "She's learning to take a compliment." Vanessa replied, "You've been saying that for years." Calvin joined them. "The governor's office wants to meet next week. They're talking about a statewide reform program based on the Brookhaven model." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "That was fast. They don't want to look like they ignored this for too long," he said. "Politics moves quick when there are cameras." "Let them move," she said. "If it helps another town, it's worth it." Later that afternoon, she drove through East Maple, the neighborhood that started everything. The broken signs were gone, and scaffolding lined the sidewalks. Morales waved from across the street, wearing his new captain badge. He crossed her car. "Didn't think I'd see you here this soon. I wanted to check the progress," she said. "Looks like you're rebuilding faster than expected." People volunteered. "We're hiring locally now. Half the recruits are from this neighborhood. That's how it should have been all along." He nodded. "We're running youth programs through the community center, too. Your sister's a nightmare to work for, but she gets things done." Vanessa smiled faintly. "She's been like that since high school." Morales leaned against the car. "The DOJ team left last week. They said your case might become mandatory reading at the academy." "Good," she said. "Maybe the next generation won't need someone like me to remind them what's right." He paused. "You really think this place can change?" "I think it already has," she said. "You just have to keep it from sliding back." He nodded slowly. "We'll try." "Don't try," she said. "Do it." That evening, she met Patricia and Calvin at the community center. The building smelled like paint and coffee, laughter echoing from the main hall. Tasha was teaching a computer class. Marcus was helping a group of teenagers with college applications. Patricia waved her over. "We've got a full schedule for the next month. Workshops, legal aid, everything." Calvin added, "Funding just came through from the state grant. They named it after Dad, the Raymond Jordan Initiative." Vanessa stopped. "He'd like that." "He'd say it's about time," Patricia said. They sat at one of the tables, the sound of kids talking and music from a nearby radio filling the space. Patricia leaned back. "You ever think about how close this came to disappearing? One traffic stop and the whole machine almost swallowed you." Vanessa looked around the room. "And now we're using that same machine to rebuild. That's the part they never expected." Calvin nodded. "You gonna stay on the bench?" "For now," she said. "I got a call from a circuit court yesterday. They're reopening my nomination." "That's the appeals seat, right?" She nodded. "It's not confirmed yet, but it's moving forward." Patricia smiled. "Then you'll have a bigger stage." "Or a bigger target," Vanessa said. "Depends how you see it." Calvin said, "Either way, they'll think twice before crossing you again." "I don't care if they're scared of me," she said quietly. "I care if they're scared of what they almost got away with." When the night ended, Vanessa walked outside alone. The air was cold, the sky clear. Across the street, the Wilson house, the first property Keller tried to steal, had new lights on. A family stood on the porch, laughing. She stood there a moment, taking it in. Then her phone buzzed with a message from Morales. New shift started. "No incidents. Town's calm tonight." She typed back, "Keep it that way." Patricia called from the door. "You leaving?" "Yeah," Vanessa said. "I've got an early hearing." Patricia crossed her arms. "You ever going to take a vacation?" "Maybe after the next century." Her sister laughed. "We'll hold you to that." Vanessa walked to her car, hands in her pockets, the street quiet again. The courthouse clock struck 9. For the first time in months, it sounded peaceful. 2 weeks later, she sat before the Senate committee for her confirmation hearing. The same senator who had questioned her methods months ago leaned forward. "Judge Jordan, your case in Brookhaven has become a national example. Do you have any final thoughts on what justice means after all this?" Vanessa looked up at him. "Justice means the truth gets to stand longer than the lies built against it. It means no one gets to rewrite the law to fit their comfort. And it means every person, no matter how small, deserves the same protection as the people who write the rules." The room stayed silent for several seconds before the senator said, "Thank you, Judge." That will be all. Back home that night, Calvin was waiting with the news on TV. It's official, he said. Confirmed by a 2-vote margin. Patricia raised a glass of water. To the most stubborn judge in America. Vanessa smiled. To the loudest sister in America. They clinked glasses. Calvin looked around. So what now? Vanessa leaned back in her chair. Now I go to work. There's always another Brookhaven somewhere. Patricia said softly, you can't fix the whole country. Maybe not, she said. But I can start one town at a time. The camera outside the community center caught her walking alone past the new sign at the corner. Welcome to Brookhaven, where justice lives. The paint was still fresh. The town was quiet again, but this time for the right reasons. 6 months later, spring came early. The courthouse steps were covered in sunlight and the smell of new paint. Reporters had moved on. The town had learned to breathe again. Vanessa parked her car near the community center and walked the last block. Children were running through sprinklers, laughing. Morales stood by the patrol car, talking with 2 new cadets. He waved when he saw her. Judge Jordan, he said, didn't expect to see you today. I had a few hours before my flight, she said. Thought I'd check in. He smiled. Town's quiet. Feels strange, but I'll take it. Quiet's a good sign, she said. Means people trust the streets again. Patricia came out from a center, holding a clipboard. You're supposed to be packing. I am, Vanessa said. Just not very fast. Patricia grinned. Washington won't wait for you. I know. They stood together watching the kids run past. One little boy tripped, and Morales helped him up, brushing the dirt from his knees. Vanessa watched the small gesture and said, that's what I wanted this to look like. Patricia nodded. It's better than before. They stop when someone falls now. Calvin appeared, carrying boxes of supplies. The new library sign's going up this afternoon, he said. They're naming it after you. Vanessa shook her head. They shouldn't. Too late, Calvin said. They already printed the banner. She smiled slightly. Then make sure it says it belongs to everyone. It does, Patricia said. That's why your name fits. They stood in silence for a moment. The sound of traffic in the distance mixed with voices and music from inside the center. Vanessa checked her watch. I should go. Patricia hugged her. Try not to argue with everyone in D.C. on your first day. I'll do my best. Calvin handed her a folder. Final copies. Everything from Brookhaven, clean and archived. She took it carefully. Keep one backup, just in case history forgets. He nodded. It won't. Vanessa walked back to her car, stopped at the corner, and looked once more at the town. Fresh storefronts, open windows, kids laughing outside a diner that used to close early out of fear. She whispered to herself, that's what it should have always been. Then she got in, started the engine, and drove away as the afternoon sun hit the sign by the road. Leaving Brookhaven, please drive fairly.